Planning Commission meeting. Happy beginning of a long weekend and first weekend of real weekend of summer, I guess. All right, our first item is the adoption of the agenda, which we have a new copy on our desk. Do I have a motion to approve? Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is the approval of the May 8th, 2025 meeting minutes, which were emailed out to us last week. Okay. A second. Any further discussion on the minutes? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is recognition of council members, and I do not believe we have any here other than our esteemed council lady up here with us. So with that, I will turn it over to you for the items for deferral and withdrawal.
Okay, items on the agenda for deferral or withdrawal tonight. Starting on page 3 of your agenda, item number 1, 2025Z002TX001. This is the definition of family. Staff recommendation is to withdraw. Item number 2, 2021 SP044002, Germantown Green SP amendment. Staff recommendation is deferred to the June 12th meeting. On page 4 of your agenda, item number 3, 2021 SP059003. Staff recommendation is deferred to June 12th. Item number 4, 2025 SP005001. Staff recommendation is deferred to June 12th. Item number 5, 2025 SP007001. Staff recommendation is deferred to June 12th. Item number 6, 2025 SP021001. Staff recommendation is deferred to June 12th. Item number 7, 2025 SP026001. Staff recommendation is deferred to June 12th. Continuing on page 5 of your agenda, item number 8, 2025 SP029001. Staff recommendation is deferred to June 12th. Item number 9, 2025 SP030001. Staff recommendation is deferred to June 12th. Item number 11, 2024 Z069PR001. Staff recommendation is deferred to June 12th. Item number 12, 2025 Z016PR001. Staff recommendation is deferred to June 26th. On page 6 of your agenda, item number 13, 2025 Z020PR001. Staff recommendation is deferred to June 12th. Item number 14, 2025 Z003TX001. Staff recommendation is deferred to June 26th. Item number 17, 2025 SP010001. Staff recommendation is deferred to June 12th. On page 7 of your agenda, item number 19, 2019 S068005, Heritage Creek Phase 5. Staff recommendation is deferred to June 12th. Item number 20, 2019 S068006, Heritage Creek Phase 6. Staff recommendation is deferred to June 12th. And that concludes our items for deferral or withdrawal.
Thank you. I will read those back to you, so I'll make sure we are voting on the right items. The items for deferral or withdrawal tonight are items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 19, and 20.
That's correct.
Okay. Commissioners, you've heard the list of items for deferral or withdrawal tonight. Do I have a motion to approve? All right. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We will move on to the consent agenda.
Items noted on our agenda as on tentative consent will be read aloud at the beginning of the meeting to determine if there's opposition present. We will ask if there's opposition present. If so, please raise your hand and we will note that that item will be taken off of the consent agenda. If no opposition is present, the item will be placed on the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda will be voted on at a single time. No individual public hearing will be held, nor will the commission debate these items unless a member of the audience or the commission requests that the item be removed from the consent agenda. Starting on page 5 of the agenda, item number 10, 2025 S063001, 6421 Clarksville Pike. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. On page 6 of your agenda, item number 15, 2025 SP01001, 1600 Meridian Street. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 16, 2025 SP004001, Liberty Lane Mixed Use. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. On page 7 of your agenda, item number 18, 2025 SP027001, Living Word Living Community. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 21, 2025 S080001. This is a final plat along Manise Lane. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 22, 2003 P007005, Donaldson Hills PUD. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. On page 8 of your agenda, item number 24, 2025 Z035 PR001. This is a rezoning along Greenwood Avenue. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 25, 2025 Z037 PR001. This is a rezoning along North New Hope Road. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be placed on the agenda to be heard. Item number 26, 2025 Z038 PR001. This is a rezone along Van Treese Road. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the agenda to be heard. Item number 27, 2025 Z040 PR001. This is a rezoning along Rio Vista Drive. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item on page 9 of your agenda, item number 28, 2025 Z041 PR001. This is a rezoning along Rio Vista Drive. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 29, 2025 Z043 PR001. This is a rezoning along Rio Vista Drive. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. Item number 31, 2025 Z046 PR001. This is a rezoning along Center Street. Is anyone here in opposition to this item? This item will be on the consent agenda. So now I'll go ahead and run through those with their full captions and recommendations. As information for our audience, if you are not satisfied with the decision made by the Planning Commission today, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of cert with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of entry of the Planning Commission's decision. To ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met, please be advised that you should contact independent legal counsel. Items on our consent agenda tonight start on page 5 of your agenda. Item number 10, 2025 S063-001. This is a request for a final plat approval to create 2 lots and add an access easement on properties located at 6421 Clarksville Pike and 6438 Old Clarksville Pike. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions, including variances to Section 4 of the subdivision regulations. On page 6 of your agenda, item number 15, 2025 SP 001001, 1600 Meridian Street. This is a request to rezone from RS5 to SP zoning for property located at 1600 Meridian Street to permit 27 multifamily residential units. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions. Item number 16, 2025 SP 004001, Liberty Lane Mixed Use. This is a request to rezone from R10 to SP zoning for properties located along Liberty Lane to permit 240 multifamily residential units. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions. On page 7 of your agenda, item number 18, 2025 SP 027001, Living Word Living Community. This is a request to rezone from AR2A to SP zoning for property located at 2304 Hobson Pike to permit 59 multifamily residential units. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions and disapprove without all conditions. Item number 21, 2025 S 080001, re-subdivision of Lot 1 of Bellar subdivision. This is a request for a final plat approval to create 2 lots located along Minnie's Lane. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions, including variances to Section 4 of the subdivision regulations. Item number 22, 2003 P 007005, Donaldson Hills PUD. This is a request to revise the preliminary plan and for final site plan approval for properties located at Donaldson Hills Drive to permit a mixed-use development within a PUD. Staff recommendation is to approve with conditions. On page 8 of your agenda, item number 24, 2025 Z035PR001. This is a request to rezone from RS5 to R6A for property located at 943 West Greenwood Avenue. Staff recommendation is to approve. Item 26 is on the agenda to be heard. Item 27, 2025 Z040PR001. This is a request to rezone from RS 7.5 to R8 for properties located at 346 and 350 Rio Vista Drive. Staff recommendation is to approve. On page 9 of your agenda, item number 28, 2025 Z041PR001. This is a request to rezone from RS 7.5 to R8 zoning for properties located at 370 Rio Vista Drive. Staff recommendation is to approve. Item number 29, 2025 Z043PR001. This is a request to rezone from RS 7.5 to R8 zoning for property located at 326 Rio Vista Drive. Staff recommendation is to approve. Item number 31, 2025 Z046PR001. This is a request to rezone from RS10 to R10 zoning for property located at 605 Center Street. Staff recommendation is to approve. And under item H, other business, item 35, to accept the director's report and approve administrative items.
Thank you. I think I blanked out in the middle a little bit, so I'm going to read them back to you and hope I have them all here. Okay, on the consent agenda tonight, we have items number 10, 15, 16, 18, 21, 22, 24, 27, 28, 29, and 31. Is that right?
Also 35.
Oh, yeah, 35. That was at the front of my list. Okay, commissioners, that is our list of items on the consent agenda tonight. Do I have a motion to approve? Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so we are through the consent agenda, and it looks like we're going to hear 4 items tonight. Item 23, item 25, item 26, and item 30. Is that right? Okay, we'll give everyone a minute to get situated. We are ready whenever you are.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jamara, presenting item number 23 on the agenda tonight. This is a request to rezone from multifamily residential alternative, no short-term rentals, RM15 ANS, to office residential OR 20 zoning for properties located at the southern corner of River Drive and South Hamilton Road. And staff recommendation is to disapprove. The approximately 0.3 acre parcel is located at the southern corner of River Drive and South Hamilton Road. The property is currently zoned RM15 ANS and contains a 3-story multifamily HBR unit. The property has frontage along South Hamilton Road and River Drive. The surrounding zoning districts include Commercial Limited to the northwest, Office Residential Alternative OR28 to the northeast, 1 and 2 Family Residential Alternative R8A to the east, Single Family Residential R10 to the south, and Specific Plan to the west. Adjacent land uses currently include Commercial, 1 and 2 Family Residential, and Single Family Residential. The site is located in the T3 Suburban Neighborhood Evolving Policy Area. T3NE is intended to create and enhance suburban residential neighborhoods with more housing choices, improved pedestrian, bicycle and vehicular connectivity, and moderate density development patterns with moderate setbacks and spacing between buildings. As seen on the screen, the subject site is located on the policy seam with T3CC to the north, which supports higher intensity land uses, including mixed use, office, and commercial. When properties are along policy seams, staff will evaluate the ability of the proposed district to create a transition between the two policy areas. Staff reviewed the request against the goals of the T3NE policy and found that the request is not consistent with the policy. The proposed OR20 zoning district would allow for non-residential uses, including office, medical, commercial, and transportation uses on the subject site, which are not supported uses in the residential policy area. Appropriate land uses in T3NE policy areas are limited to residential, institutional, community gardens, and other open spaces. Land uses such as mixed use, commercial, and office uses are not appropriate in this policy area. Additionally, the proposed zoning district would permit short-term rentals properties, which is not appropriate given the neighborhood context of single-family residential and 1 and 2 family residential and the intent of the policy to create permanent housing opportunities. The site was rezoned from single-family residential RS10 to RM15 ANS in 2023 to serve as a transition between the commercial uses along Clarksville Pike to the north and the residential areas along River Drive and South Hamilton Road. River Drive along the north and east of the subject property and South Hamilton Road along the southwest includes a mix of single-family and 2 family residential units. Staff finds that the existing RM15 ANS zoning adequately serves as a transition between the higher intensity uses to the north and the lower intensity residential uses to the south. Staff finds that the proposed OR20 zoning district is not consistent with the intent of the policy to maintain a primarily residential neighborhood and recommends disapproval. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Is the applicant here? Hi, if you will come up, well, you're welcome to come up and address the commission. You'll have 10 minutes up to 10 minutes to share with us.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kenneth McFadden. I'm the owner of this property here, and I didn't have anything planned. I didn't think I was going to speak, anything like that. And one of the main reasons why I'm applying for this is because to the right of me, you've got non-owner occupied short-term rental. And then to the left of me, that's a halfway house. I'm right there on the corner lot where you got a stop sign, a lot of foot traffic, and right across the street from me, you have commercial. It's a tough spot to be in just for strictly residential. I do have a 12-car parking lot here that's adequate enough for all of the units here, but that was the main thing. Just I've been in this project for a while, and it's just like everything just screams commercial. And even the property right behind me, there's a buffer there where we have trees, and so that's not bothering them, but it's a lot of transitory action right there. And I'm right in the middle of it. So that was the main reason.
Well, thank you. The way this works is you have time to share with us what you want to share with us about the property, and then we will have time for people, if anyone is here that wants to speak in support, and if people want to speak in opposition, and then you have a chance for a rebuttal based on any kind of comments that you hear. So you have time if there's anything else that you want to tell us about the project, and otherwise we'll.
Okay, so there's 2 buildings, has 2 units.
Did we lose our time? Okay. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so there's 4 units total. Each building has 2 units. They're 1,760 square feet, 3 stories. We have a 12-car parking lot. There is an opportunity to build out the rooftop, but I stopped there. Just doesn't really make sense if I can't offer any type of short-term rental or anything like that. It's just because people would like to see the view, but I think I kind of just I'm good on where I'm at. I don't really have anything else to say.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. You're fine.
Unless anybody has any other questions or.
Well, when we open it up to the commissioners to discuss, if you're here, we'll ask you questions then if we have some questions.
Sure.
Yes, and he'll reserve 2 minutes for rebuttal.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in support of this item? And anyone speaking in opposition? If not, you do have 2 minutes if you have anything else that you wish to share with us, but otherwise we'll.
I would just say, if you guys just can consider just all the activity that's going on. I'm not changing the character or the fabric of the neighborhood. Literally, like I said, to the left of me, I have people coming in and out weekly. Right next door to me, they're going in daily, going in weekly. And right across the street, you've got a nail salon, you got a laundromat, a lot of foot traffic right there off Clarkson Pike. You got the gas station, and you've got that commercial center with the grocery store, the Rainbow Clothing Store, right across the street. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. I will declare the public hearing closed. Oops, open it up. Commissioner Smith, would you like to get us started?
Sure. So, and this may be for the applicant, I'm sorry, I'll let you get all the way back there. So we have 2 buildings that are constructed on site, and the basic request is to change the zoning so that the units can be offered as offices. Is that? I mean, it's a change in zoning, but if we've already got a building there, I'm a little confused as to. I'm sorry. Yeah, so you're asking for a change in zoning.
The change in zoning because when I bought this property, I was trying to match what was next door and what they're able to do.
Sure.
They can offer short-term rental, and the reason why I requested this zoning because I figured that hey, they're right next door to me. They're a corner lot. I'm a corner lot. I was just trying to match that.
You've built your 2
Yeah, they are.
You're asking for the zone change in, because that will allow you to permit commercial or short-term rental, properties there. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's like I said, it's a lot of foot traffic trying to sell this to single
Absolutely.
family, and you have people walking up and down. You got the stop sign right there. People are just right in front of your houses. It's a
I hear you.
tough spot to be in.
Thank you. Well, I think the staff report is basically on the mark in that it is a transition area. I know across the street it is OR 20, and so that's real close. However, RM 15 and OR 20 are real close, and it just does have a different character policy, and we planning it and is trying to do a transition there. So I think changing it to OR 20 just kind of ruins that transition or backs it up into areas that we're not looking to do. So I want to hear what other people think, but I think I'm inclined to support the staff recommendation.
Other commissioners have any comments on this? Yeah, Commissioner Gamble.
Thank you, Chair. I guess I have a few questions. The OR 20 zoning is across the street, but is the policy different? I guess that's what I'm looking at. The policy is different across the street. Is that, so this approval is based on that policy of commercial center or neighborhood evolving? Is OR a zoning code that is allowed in neighborhood evolving?
Yeah, so the OR 20 zoning district is not consistent with the T3NE policy.
Okay. Is there another, I guess, non-residential such as MUL or MUN that would fall under that T3NE?
Okay, so the T3NE policy is primarily residential. So any form of mixed use, commercial, other stuff is not allowed under the policy.
Was there any consideration for changing the policy to be congruent with the policy across the street on that one lot? Or would that, I mean, I guess that would be another way to go if, and I just wondered if that was a consideration, if you looked at, or if the applicant was requested to look at extending that T3 commercial policy to to that lot, and if that would be something planning would consider, since it is, I can't think of the word I'm trying to use, congruent with the policy across the street.
All right. So we did not receive a request to change the policy at the site. We only evaluated the request based on the policy and then the request that was submitted.
Okay. So that's something that the applicant would need to request. Is that, okay, thank you. I guess I do understand the staff recommendation. I mean, the staff recommendation is correct based on the policy. But I do also understand the property owner's dilemma, and because it is so close to that T3 commercial policy, and it is a corner lot, if we, whatever happens today, I would say that may be another opportunity for the property owner to try to pursue a change in the policy on that lot so that he can do what he needs to do.
If I may,
Yes.
Councilwoman, I think one of the hardest issues that we've struggled with in our code has been short-term rentals. And living through that, I sometimes feel a little bit like it's like the Matrix movie when it's operating outside any system that we understand. And it's not residential, it's not a hotel. And our policy framework, we have struggled to figure out how to respond to that, although we do think that STRs have been somewhat disruptive to the residential market here. And so generally, we will be somewhat skeptical unless it's in an area that, you know, has hotels and apartments and other things. Staff did a really clean analysis based on the policy, and that's our role, but we're giving you a recommendation, and the commission has discretion to evaluate the land use policy. We prefer for you to, in terms of predictability, to rely on the policy and your recommendation, and I can see you're making your way through that. If the commission, in its view, sees something in this particular configuration of the lot, you can certainly give staff some guidance that you think a policy look is appropriate. That's sort of a different process. So I would just offer that as context. While I think we believe that this is for non-owner occupied, or for STRs, you would have to look at all the uses that are available under the OR 20 and assume that any one of those could be accomplished if you did support the zone change. At least I don't know if you have any other feedback.
So just to be clear, I'm not suggesting that we add any requirement or issue a request for the planning to look at the policy change. That would be up to the property owner and the surrounding people. I just wanted to, I guess, for the public, kind of explain how this is so close to that commercial policy, and it is on the corner, that I could see why there would be interest in doing that. But, you know, I support the staff's recommendation because it according to the policy as it stands today, that it wouldn't qualify. So, thank you.
Other comments?
So I would agree. Based on the policy, I would agree. And I think it's already been addressed what I had. My thoughts were, you explained them very well. And so from a policy standpoint, I can see that. But I am struggling with the fact that the process that the owner would need to do is work through the local council to try to change that particular zoning for that property. Is that correct?
So we are advising council on the zone change. If we were to entertain a policy discussion, that's your decision.
But we would have to defer this item and request that the staff reconsider the policy. Like what's that process?
You've done it a couple of different ways. Sometimes, and Lisa, jump in on a precedent, you know, sometimes if there's just a particular site and it's in a transition point, you might say, we agree with you, this doesn't meet the policy, but we find some circumstances that we think you should take into account, and how we adjust the policy to address that. We've done it a couple of different ways. Sometimes the staff can go back later and sort of have a housekeeping adjustment, and it just depends on the complexity of the site. Lisa, any other ways the commission can certainly, if you think it's a larger issue and you want to question, say, the broader T3NE policy, you might defer it and ask the staff to look a little more holistically beyond the one site. So it's really your discretion.
I was, sorry, Lisa, I was trying to pull up the Planning Commission rules and procedures, but there we go. So there's actually some language in the rules around your review of requests as it, to whether or not it complies with policy. And there is language that indicates that, sorry, I'm trying to get there. My computer is acting kind of crazy. That you can direct us to make a change, like Lucy said, or you can direct us to study it. I think that there have been a couple of times where you have basically said, we think the policy should be different in our review of the zoning, and then you can direct us to do that. Here we go. It says the planning commission will generally make its recommendations in conformance with the general plan. If the planning commission recommends to the Metropolitan Council an amendment to the zoning code and or map that, according to the analysis provided by department staff, is in conflict with the general plan, the commission shall direct staff to initiate an amendment to the general plan or include in the motion a clear explanation of how the proposed zoning amendment complies with the overall goals and intent of the general plan. So there is some guidance in your rules and procedures for essentially if you sort of disagree with what staff has provided in regards to analysis. So I think that section is what you all are looking for.
Any, Commissioner Smith?
I think it might be a little easier if we've got a building there and it seems like commercial's not going there. You got a new structure. Sounds like the change is really to get short-term rentals. I don't know if I'm not asking you to render judgment on the spot or anything, but I think the easier zoning change would just be to RM15 instead of RM15NS, which wouldn't. I don't know if is that supported in the T3NE policy.
So RM15A is supported in the T3NE policy. So when the request came in, staff made the applicant aware we are not supportive of OR20 zoning district, and we could likely support RM15A, which we made that offer available to the applicant, but he refused to take that offer. So here we are.
Well, I guess I'm speaking to the applicant. It
Okay.
might be worth, if you're looking to have these available for short-term rentals, there is a way to do that within the character policy, and it sounds like planning talked to you about that. I would suggest considering that, because it sounds like you have, OR20 might get you one more unit, but you're already built out, it appears. To get what you want, you might be able to just go RM15. Right now, you're RM15NS.
I'm not trying to get another unit.
We have more.
Right, you're trying to get short-term rentals, right?
Yeah, just imagine.
So what, I'm with you. So RM15, taking out the NS, will get you short-term rentals.
Okay, wait,
Is that-
I think
I'm
there's
sorry,
there's
I'm
more
sorry.
from staff
Or
over
made
here.
them
Okay, so
applicable to the process? Is that?
with the RM15A, it allows only owner-occupied short-term rentals, but then not owner-occupied short-term rentals are not allowed in the RM15A.
Okay, so
So
Then us is kinda
non-owner
superfluous.
occupied would not be allowed, only owner occupied.
only owner-occupied, okay.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. NS prohibits all short-term rentals.
Okay,
RM15A permits only owner-occupied short-term rentals. OR20 permits owner-occupied and not owner-occupied.
Is there any other alternative to the RM15A? Is there an alternative to RM15A that would still be consistent, that would?
So this may be more background than you need, but there have been, as many of you all know, but not all of you, and as Councilmember Gamble knows, there have been many iterations of short-term rentals and where they are permitted and where they are not permitted. At one point, we had limits by census tracts, and people would be lined up to get those permits. And before we had owner and not owner, there were multifamily and different iterations. And so at the point where we sort of settled on owner and not owner being the important distinguishing factor, owner occupied were permitted in R, RS, RM, most everywhere. And not owner occupied were limited. At the first iteration, RM districts actually did permit both owner and not owner. And one of the more recent, it's still been a few years, changes was to put a date certain on when not owner occupied were no longer allowed in RM, with the thought being that not owner occupied, because it is classified as a commercial use, should not be in the residential zoning districts. So R, RS, RM are all treated the same. For our NM, neighborhood maintenance, and NE policies, because those are primarily residential, they don't support any zoning districts that permit not owner-occupied short-term rentals.
Commissioner Clifton.
Thank you. I sense that there's really a lot of uncertainty here, and I'm not very good at evaluating on the fly like this. But it was a compelling case that was made, and I am not quite prepared to end this with a simple disapproval. I don't know how to phrase what I would like to see, but I thought maybe I would let somebody else do that. But that's just kind of what I would like to vote for. So something that gives us a little more time to meet with the applicant, given his situation and what we've discussed today.
Yes, Council Lady Gamble.
Thank you. In light of the information about the Planning Commission having the ability to request a review of a policy change at that site, then perhaps that is a way to go to defer and request that the planning staff review a possible policy change to the T3CC so that then the request for the OR 20 would suit the needs of the owner.
The rules do allow, or the rules, I don't know that you have to defer to do that. If you feel, the language essentially says that if you all recommend an amendment to the zoning code that, according to our analysis, is in conflict with the general plan, then you direct us to initiate an amendment to the general plan. So if you all are supportive of OR 20, you could recommend approval now and include in your motion for us to initiate an amendment to the policy.
Okay.
I need to look through to see if there is a method for you all to just direct us to look at the policy that's sort of outside of this rule.
Okay.
So let me look further into the rules.
Okay, I'll just add that the council member is not here, and there's nobody here in opposition, and so not knowing what the community or the council member feels about it, then I guess it would be helpful to just to have a review and not just automatically recommend that we change it. I guess that could be done on the council level too. I mean, this disapproved bill could go to the council, and the council could decide. But I do think that there is room for review. So I don't know what to do, because I don't want to recommend that we approve OR and approve a policy change without having council member and community input. And so if there was a way to request that you review it, I would be more inclined to support that.
Well, can we make a motion to defer, and the action item is that we ask that staff review the community character policy here? So it's not
You
on
can,
the applicant?
you can definitely, I mean, usually we'll ask an applicant if they would, Lisa, is there a bill, anything been introduced here? Okay. I'm hearing from our council liaison that the councilwoman was not expecting a policy change and had planned to run this as a disapproved bill, knowing, kind of being sensitive to the same things that you are with the context, but knowing that you likely would be bound by the policy. And so I think my advice in this case would be, do you want the additional burden of the 27 votes, or knowing kind of where the elected official is? Mr. Withers, did I capture that properly? Okay. So knowing where the elected official is, do you want to do, kind of instruct staff to sort of on the back end address the policy?
Yes, I think that would be the more prudent thing to do.
Okay. Maybe if you'll accept a suggestion, I would be curious to see where your colleagues are. I don't have a sense of the commission right now, so if you wanted to recommend approval of the zone change with direction to staff to address the policy, I'm interested in getting a sense of where the body is, and if we don't have the votes for that, then I would advise a deferral.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions, comments?
Yeah. Can you just go back to the slide that has the satellite view of the uses that are a little bit easier to see in the current? So the houses to the right, are those, I'm trying to figure out which ways is facing the transition. So the different zoning is on the left side? Yeah.
Up is commercial and OR. The transition's going to come in south or down that way.
Yeah, okay. So the house to my right of the red square, the two houses, are those zoned for short-term rentals?
No,
Yeah,
the ones
south of
immediately on the south side are R8,
Okay,
1 and 2 family. Across is OR20 and then MULA, and then CL to the northwest.
okay. Yeah, the corner lots, I think, are really challenging, especially in this, it's got kind of all the convergence of events. It's a corner lot, it's in a transition area, there's commercial around it, which, raises, I think, why we're having this difficult discussion.
What is that big thing right below it, number 143?
I think that's
It's
a
NES?
school. It is a school,
A school?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah. I think I'm leaning in the direction that the council lady was. No. I think I could agree with your suggestion, which is, if I'm understanding it right, we're going to recommend approval, but directing the staff to review the policy. If there are any other comments, otherwise, yes, we can entertain a motion. Anyone wanting to make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we approve the zone change with the request that the planning staff review the policy amendment to the T3 CC, I think it is.
That's a proper motion. Do we have a second? Any further discussion, questions? If not, all in favor of this motion? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, it went forward. Okay, all right. We are on to item number 25.
Okay, this is item number 25 on today's agenda. This is a request to rezone properties located at 6258 and 6266 North New Hope Road from AR2A and RS15 to RS10. Staff recommendation is to approve. The northern parcel, identified as parcel 12, has been zoned AR2A since 1975. The southern parcel, parcel 13, has been zoned RS15 along the southern boundary since 1974 and is primarily zoned AR2A since 1975. Parcel 12 is vacant, while parcel 13 has developed with a single-family residential use. Land uses of the surrounding parcels are single-family residential with two-family residential uses in the surrounding area. The site is located within the T3 Suburban Neighborhood Evolving Policy. The T3 NE policy is intended to promote a broader range of housing types, improved connectivity, and moderate density development. When considering the surrounding area, nearby parcels have various zoning districts, including a specific plan to the west, which allows for a minimum lot size of 5,000 square feet. The proposed RS10 zoning district serves as a transition from the RS15 zone parcels to the east and a more intense SP zoning to the west. Additionally, the parcels are located along a collector avenue where additional density may be appropriate. And with that, staff recommendation is to approve.
Great, thank you very much. Is the applicant here? We'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Yeah, please come forward. Same process. You'll have 10 minutes to describe your case. Start with your name and where you live, and then you'll be able to hold 2 minutes back for rebuttal after
Okay.
we've heard from people in support and opposition.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Steve Sloan. There's 2 lots that I purchased back in 2016. I would like to sell the empty lot, okay? But the problem is the adjoining lot line runs through my detached garage and through my camper canopy. So in order to sell it as is, I would have to have an encroachment, or I'm not sure exactly what the term is for, to pass on with the deed, encroachment or easement or whatever. So rather than having to have that, I thought I would just have the lot line relocated. And then when I contacted the planning, they said that because of the AR2A, I can't just move the lot line. I have to have it rezoned to RS 10 or 15, or I originally asked for RS 7.5. Again, to the west, all those special purpose or special whatever it is, SP are 5,000, so at RS 10, these would be twice that size. And so additionally, I had not anticipated the cost for the rezoning, and apparently surveyors are going to be pretty expensive in this area. I just had a lot split in Destin for $1,500. I think I'm looking at maybe 15,000 here. So there is some cost associated with just moving that lot line, and that was the main reason. So the planning suggested, recommended an RS 10 versus an RS 7.5. I re-looked at it and decided I can, the problem is, excuse me, in order to use the camper canopy, I have to have plenty of access through part of the field in order to get into that camper canopy. So I had to move it quite a bit, and that, so anyway, that's where I am with it, so. I don't think I have anything else to offer, yeah.
Okay, well, if we have some questions, you'll have 2 minutes that you can hold for rebuttal, and if we have questions, we'll come back to you after that. Okay, so is anyone here speaking in support? Anyone speaking in opposition? Yes, if you'll come forward and state your name and area where you live.
Good evening. My name is Les Banks. I live in New Hope Meadow subdivision for 20 years, and I'm not privy to the definitions of the zoning, but I just want to bring light. This brings a light to the increased density of the area has gone downhill, and without the support of infrastructure improvement, and basically what happens like 7, 8 in the morning, the access Central Pike and Old Lebanon Dirt Road, you're backed up, the traffic's backed up a quarter mile, sometimes a half a mile. And I don't know what the gentleman's plans are, but for building, but any increase in density to that area is what I'm really opposed to. In the last 2-3 years, 50 to 80 new dwellings have been built from Central Pike to Old Lebanon Dirt Road, and you're already seeing the impact, or the negative impact of that. And I just want to bring to light, maybe there should be a traffic study before that area gets even more dense, or traffic light timing could be a helpful thing, but that's my point.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you for coming down. Anyone else speaking in opposition? If not, the applicant will have 2 minutes for rebuttal if you have any response or anything else that you would like to.
I'm not sure if he was involved.
We need you to address the commission. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, what I was going to say is the development behind me, which has been going on for quite some time now. I think they did traffic studies for that, and that was about 3 or 4 years ago when they started that. So that's the only thing I can offer is a lot of that was done, I think, because we attended all of those meetings then. Especially because I had 600 linear feet of adjoining lot line with that development, and I was concerned about the 5,000 square foot lots. As far as the as far as the traffic study, I believe that was done a few years ago, and I understand his concerns. But I really need to get that lot line moved, and I really would like to sell that property off. As far as my plans is just to, take the 3 remaining lots and sell them. So I don't know, beyond that, I guess that's up to the developer or the buyer of that lot as to what they feel. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll go ahead and declare the public hearing closed. And Commissioner Marshall, would you like to start us off?
Thank you. Don't have a whole lot to add to it. However, I did hear the concern about the density increase, which is always a concern here in Davidson County and most of the counties. But based on what is in the report here, it's just a modest increase in density, which is still consistent with the policy, the T3 any policy. So I would be in support of staff recommendation to approve.
Thank you. Anyone else have comments on this one? Yeah, Commissioner Allen.
I have a quick question. I heard the applicant mention that they were interested in the RS 7.5 initially, and planning staff recommended the RS 10.
Yes, that's correct. So the original application was a rezoning to RS 7.5. And when planning took a look at the surrounding area and the policy, just with RS 15 to the east of New Hope Road, and then the specific plan that is based on an RS 5 zoning district, we felt RS 10 would provide a better transition between a more intense zoning district versus.
All right, thank you.
Any further comments, questions? If not, is anyone interested in making a motion?
I make the motion to approve staff recommendation for approval.
Okay, it's proper motion. Do we have a second? Second. Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We're still good on time. It's only 5. I think we are on to item number 26. Hello again. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Good evening, Commissioners. Again, Jeremiah presenting item number 26 on the agenda tonight. This is a request to rezone from single-family residential RS20 to 1 and 2 family residential R20 zoning for property located at 713 Van Trees Road. And staff recommendation is to approve. The approximately 0.97 acre parcel is located at 713 Van Trees Road, approximately 430 feet east of East Matona Road, which is classified as a collector avenue in the major and collector street plan. The property contains a single-story, single-family residential unit. The subject site is surrounded by single-family residential RS20 zoning on all sides. Surrounding land uses include single-family residential and 1 and 2 family residential. The subject parcel has frontage along Van Trees Road, which is classified as a local street. The proposed R20 zoning is consistent with the T3 suburban neighborhood maintenance policy at this location. The T3 NM policy focuses on preserving the existing residential character while accommodating new growth that fits within the character. The proposed rezone to R20 could allow for 2 family uses, which is a slight increase in density. The R20 zoning district is most appropriate in areas with access to urban services. The site is within a half-mile radius of urban community center, urban neighborhood center, and urban mixed-use neighborhood policy areas. The site is within 430 feet east of East Matona Road, which is classified as a collector avenue in the MCSP. The site is also within a half-mile radius of South Greycroft Avenue to the west and Old Hickory Boulevard to the north. Both streets are classified as arterial boulevards in the MCSP. Based on the location in relation to high levels of connectivity and proximity to higher intensity urban policy areas, additional density may be appropriate on the subject site. Staff finds this zoning district appropriate as the proposed zoning district will provide for 1 and 2 family uses consistent with the surrounding land uses while accommodating growth as envisioned by the policy. So this is the land use map for the immediate surroundings of the subject site. The yellow parcels are single family land uses, whilst the brown parcels are 2 family uses which contain 2 units. As you can see, 2 family land uses are within the surrounding area with no consistent pattern and scattered throughout the neighborhood, and approval of this will not be inconsistent. For these reasons, staff recommends approval. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Is the applicant here? Yes, hi. Please come forward. You'll have 10 minutes.
Okay.
And you can save 2 minutes for rebuttal.
Okay, hi, I'm Thomas Goss. I own the property at 713 Ventries Road. I'm happy to see that a lot of the neighborhood is here, even though they may be opposing. My goal here is to be part of the neighborhood, not be an outsider in the neighborhood. I specifically moved to this neighborhood because they were 1 acre lots. That was part of my criteria. I moved there about 4 years ago. And I like the neighborhood as it is. And I think my understanding is most of the opposition is not to what I'm proposing to do or to have, the property zoned for. It's what somebody may be able to do in the future. And I understand that too. Nobody wants to change the way of the neighborhood. But as he said there are other lots in the neighborhood that are doing the same thing. So I was having a rough time, getting a clear meaning of R20 and what that actually means. But for me, the previous owner of the property built a small cottage without getting the proper permits. And when I went to register it to do a short-term rental or a rental, it was told to me by the zoning that that was still just registered as a pool house. So my goal here is to just get it registered, as a dwelling. So when speaking to Commissioner Gamble there, she's the one who told me that I would have to change it from an RS20 to an R20. Let's see, like I said, the cottage is already built. It's only 500 square feet. It's a little 1-bedroom. It's got a full kitchen. It's got a bathroom and a small living room. Let's see, I have no plans to build anything new. I mean, although I've built a garage on the property already, but, I have no plans to build tall skinnies or anything like that. And I don't think you can with the R20 zoning. I may use it for a short-term or long-term rental property at the moment. But the goal is really, in the end, is for myself to move in there, to one of my kids move into the big house, and, that's the way I'll see out the rest of my days. I know my neighbor next door is kind of looking to do the same thing, to build a small little cottage for his parents to live next door. When I first went to the first community meeting and met Commissioner Gamble, and I proposed my zoning change, there was maybe 30 community members there that nobody opposed my change. I haven't had time. I travel for work. I haven't gotten a petition with anything but posted on social media. I got 18 likes. The opposition, or the people looking to sign a petition, they had 7 likes. I don't know how many signatures they have. They might have a lot more. I don't know. And again, like I said, I understand their concerns. And so, yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
That's all I got.
All right, well, you will have time for rebuttal after they've spoken, so.
Thank you. Appreciate your
Okay,
time.
thank you. We'll save 2 minutes. Is there anyone here speaking in support? Support? Yes. If you're speaking in support, you may come forward and you'll have 2 minutes. Please state your name and where you live, general area where you live.
I'm Dorinda Dawn, and I live in the neighborhood not too far. It'd be interesting to hear the rebuttal, to be curious of the concerns, because I drive by his property every day. And if the question on hand is just for him to make it a dwelling, my guess is maybe 2 people max can live in that, which may put 1 or 2 more cars in our neighborhood. So I just don't really see a concern or what the concerns are, but I'm pro what he's wanting to do. His property is beautiful, and as long as he can't tear it down and build tall and skinnies, I'm in favor of it.
Great, thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak in support? If not, anyone speaking in opposition? Yes, you guys can come forward, and if you don't mind going ahead and lining up for those who want to speak.
I'm Russell Clark. I live at lot 984.
Hold on 1 sec. Just so everyone knows, you have 2 minutes. Start with your name and address, and we want to get you your time started.
I'll speak in Braille. Let me know when you're ready.
You're ready.
Go.
Good.
I live in lot 94. Family's been in and around Blair Heights neighborhood since the mid-60s. I've lived in Madison since 84, 85. I bought the house in 2005. I, too, like the neighbor, drive by the property every single day. He does a fantastic job of being a wonderful neighbor. It was the miscommunication, the way it was described. That's why we're in opposition. If that miscommunication can be straightened up, we're for it. If not, we're very against it. It was implied that a dedicated auxiliary dwelling unit, a DADU overlay, which seems to be a reasonable assessment, but somebody mentioned the entire neighborhood. The entire lot, yes. The entire neighborhood, oh, hell no. So that's my opposition. I got it under 60 seconds. If you have questions, I will be happy to address my specific concerns, but tall and uglies are really not appreciated in our neighborhood. Old Hickory Boulevard, our 400 Old Hickory Boulevard, y'all must have zoned that like R5 or something, because you tore down 3 houses and built 36 units in a space as big as this desk. So that's what we do not want.
Okay, thank you. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, 5 minutes, and yes, name and where you
Sure.
live.
Sure. Thank you for allowing me to speak in opposition to the rezoning. My name's Wendy Allen, and I live at 225 Beverly Drive, so I'm in the 1,000 yards or whatever the requirements are. I'm speaking on behalf of concerned residents of Blair Heights. I've lived in Blair Heights for about 26 years, and I'm representing a wide range of neighbors. It includes young families and retired couples. Some have moved here in our neighborhood very recently. Others have lived here for over 30 years. And I'd like to ask those present and in objection to the 713 rezoning to please stand. Thank you all. I also, in addition to those that came and made the time to come, I also have with me a petition with over 100 signatures in opposition to the rezoning of 713 Van Trees, and also, and I think that might be where the confusion is coming, in opposition, just letting this commission know that we're also in opposition to broader rezoning for overlays for our entire neighborhood. So they are 2 separate things, but it's a good opportunity to let everybody know that we're in opposition of that. So we're opposed to the rezoning of 713 Van Trees Road from RS20 to R20 because that zoning allows for, the R20 zoning allows for a second single-family home or a dadu, and I appreciate that Mr. Goss is only planning to use the existing building. That does not mean that the next person that has that specific parcel couldn't tear that down and build two houses, big, taller houses. So that is inconsistent with the single-family residential character of our neighborhood. Allowing this specific property rezoning also encourages similar future rezoning requests, which we heard there's some neighbors that do want to do that, which would further disrupt the overall integrity and appeal and density of our neighborhood. Approving this request sets a precedence for broader future rezoning, and it sort of incorrectly implies that that the neighborhood is in favor of broader changes in our area. Additionally, 713 Van Treese would immediately exceed the DADU conditions 17, boy, have I learned a lot in this process, 1716-030G, Section 1B, which is the additional accessory structure that's currently on the property. It exceeds the allowable square footage of the second structure by 352 square feet. So given the zoning, the new zoning plans and activities that are actively underway per the previous meeting that we just caught the tail end of, it's important that the Planning Commission know that those present and in objection and those that sign the petition are also opposed to future rezoning, including the blanket allowance of DADUs in our area. Rezoning that would allow two dwellings, such as this individual request, but broader rezoning, it would lead, in our opinion, to increased density, traffic congestion, noise pollution, light pollution, strain on municipal services and infrastructure, and more. So maintaining zoning with one dwelling per property is really crucial to preserving our neighborhood's character, safety, and the community spirit that we enjoy. And by allowing broader rezoning, the unique single-family residential character of Blair Heights would be compromised, leading to long-term negative adverse effects on our community's tranquility and aesthetics. We appreciate the challenges that Nashville faces in regards to affordable housing and the projected housing shortage, and we're supportive of the proposed efforts in the Tier 1 corridor of Madison, which would have minimal disruption to existing neighborhoods. Am I out?
You're out of time, yes.
Did you give me the 5?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I have the.
No, we can't do the clapping, sorry.
Yeah, no clapping.
No clapping.
This is the petition and the signature.
Yeah, you can. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? If not, the applicant is welcome to have your 2 minutes of rebuttal.
I would just like to understand better the square footage that she was talking about, like how I'm over the square footage. I wasn't quite sure what that meant.
If you don't mind directing it here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We'll talk about that in a minute when we turn to the commissioner discussion. We can ask that question of staff.
Okay, also, I'd just like to know how many on the petition are opposed to my situation, and how many are actually for just the broader. Like if that could be separated out, I'm not sure if there's two different petitions. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and declare the public hearing closed, and Councilor Gamble, I'm going to let you start us off.
Thank you, and I want to thank everyone who came out tonight. I would say this was not an easy one to initiate because of having just the one lot. And we are looking at and considering, I think the confusion that has happened in the neighborhood, probably from Facebook posts, is that we are not considering, if you were at our work session earlier today, the planning commission and the planning staff and the city as a whole is looking at zoning reforms to address our housing shortage, our housing crisis, as our city has grown exponentially over the last 10 years. So the idea of looking at expanding the DADU overlay in single-family zoning is what is being considered, not expanding R10 zoning. So I just want to make that clear. The planning staff commission is looking at the DADU overlay expansion into single-family, not expanding R10, not getting rid of RS zoning. That is not what is being considered. So just want to make that clear. With this particular property, and I have had a lot of requests for neighbors who are wanting to build DADUs for whatever reason, either for an aging parent, they are moving back home, a adult child who is moving back home, or just for rental so that they can get income to keep their primary residence as property values and everything else continues to increase. So when Mr. Goss came to me and asked about this rezone, or asked about what he could do, because there's already a detached dwelling on the property. He bought it not knowing that the attached dwelling was not permitted. And now he's in a situation of either, he can get the zoning in order to make use of that detached dwelling, or I don't know, I guess it sits there. But because we had a community meeting, we did in March, where about 30 residents were in attendance in the South Madison area, were in support of it. I mean, it was broad support. Nobody at the meeting was in opposition, mainly because the structure was already built. He wasn't going to build a structure. I think if that was the case, if he was trying to get a rezone to build a structure, I would not have recommended that he bring this forward. I would have recommended that he wait and see what the DADU overlay expansion would do, which is what I've been recommending to a lot of other residents. I was at the Housing and Infrastructure Workshop in Madison on Tuesday. Was that Tuesday? My days are, I've been at late nights every day, so I can't, a lot of support for it. I mean, it was comments on the boards, people coming up to me, a lot of support for the DADU overlay expansion. And if the structure was not already built, I would have recommended that he wait. But because it is built, and because we're looking at that expansion as a whole anyway, I felt that it was justifiable to bring this forward. So I understand the concern from the community. I understand this would be something different, a change from what the community was 30 years ago. I mean, I live in I've been in my house almost 30 years, and my neighborhood has changed. But I think the fact that it's already built, and the fact that if we do expand the DADU overlay, it has restrictions. I mean, not everybody will be able to build it. You have to have the required lot size. It has to be within those requirements. I think those restrictions make me comfortable with that and make me comfortable with moving forward today. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Other comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Dundon, you have your mic on. I don't know if you want to.
I'll say something. I certainly defer to the councilwoman in terms of certainly knowledge about this community, and it sounds like it's been through a thorough notice and consideration, and there are unique circumstances that it's already existing. And I'm just to be clear, it's not if we approve this. It's not a neighborhood-wide, and we're not setting a precedent. And also, I think one thing one of the people mentioned, which I do think is important, is when we rezone a lot, we certainly all consider that whatever we're rezoning it for, that's then allowed. No matter what the person is in front of us saying that they promised to build or not to build, we all take into consideration what we are allowing for that person or the future. And so I think that's also been taken into consideration here too, so I'm inclined to approve the staff's recommendation.
Anyone else with Commissioner Clifton?
Well, this isn't the time I'm supposed to debate that is a lot, although I have the capacity to have one and plan to have one at some point. And it's been very, very popular and helpful in parts of Hillsborough West End, and it's given there's a lot of positive things about that as an option. But this isn't where we're going to debate all of that. It does seem that the last commissioner mentioned the real thing, which is it's a kind of a unique situation. I know we can't just tell everyone, well, we're going to do what you want because you thought you were doing something else. So it's not exactly that, but in light of the circumstances here, I think it makes sense from a planning standpoint, which makes it basically, that's what we're concerned about. So I'm going to be supportive of it. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Any further comments? If not, I will need a motion.
I'll move to approve second recommendation of approval.
Okay. And
Second.
right. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And thank you guys for coming down. I know Commissioner Gamble will continue to be in conversation.
It was the dative overlay of our neighborhood that was the most concerning. So when you get a chance to address the neighborhood, that 60 days to approve. 60 days to approve.
Give everyone a minute to relocate. All right, I think we're on to our final item, item 30.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. This is item number 30. I'm Laszlo Martone. So the request is to rezone from single-family residential to 1- and 2-family residential, and this is for property located at 1096 Fernbank Drive. And staff's recommendation is to disapprove. The application consists of one parcel totaling 1.69 acres located at the terminus of Fernbank Drive. The property has been zoned single-family residential since 1998 and is currently vacant. Surrounding properties are zoned RS10, while surrounding land uses are single-family residential and duplex, and there's also a residential PUD that abuts the subject property and permits a multifamily residential development. The property is located entirely within the conservation policy area. The conservation policy is intended to preserve environmentally sensitive land through protection and remediation. The conservation policy on the site is associated with 100-year floodplain, which covers the property entirely. And the conservation policy provides guidance for various environmental features, which includes floodplains, floodways, steep slopes, stream corridors, and more. On this slide, I've kind of pulled out some of the guidance from the conservation policy that it provides for floodplain features. And I'll read a few of these. So the policy states that management of floodplains is addressed as a preventative measure in greenfield development situations and a remediation measure in areas where development has occurred. In greenfield areas, the majority of the natural floodplain area, including all of the floodway, should be left in its undisturbed natural state. Low-intensity land uses are developed in those portions of floodplains that are permitted to be disturbed, and they keep disturbance to a minimum. And lastly, in order to maintain water quality, facilitate flood control, and ensure public safety, the development potential for the flood-prone portion of a site is lower than it is for the developable portion of a site. So the subject property has yet to be developed and is therefore considered greenfield development and should be addressed with preventative measures, and disturbance should be kept to a minimum per the conservation policy. I'll note that in 2024, the property was platted as one lot and was designated a critical lot due to its presence in the floodplain. The plat does identify 50% of the total area of the property as conservation area to remain undisturbed, given the features. As the property is currently platted as one lot and the existing zoning is RS10, a single home could be built today. With the rezoning to R10 as proposed, it could allow for an additional unit on the site and would allow for a total of 2 units. While the subject site is entirely within the conservation policy, it is bordered by T3 suburban neighborhood maintenance policy, which intends to maintain the general character of suburban residential neighborhoods. And this policy explains that the mixture and placement of building types should consider the street type, as well as effects on nearby sensitive environmental features, guided by conservation policy and the overall health of the watershed. And considering all of the elements of the site and the context, staff finds that while a moderate increase in intensity may be appropriate within the nearby T3 NM areas, the proposed R10 district is not appropriate for the subject property, given the context of the conservation policy that covers the whole site. And staff recommends disapproval.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and open up the public hearing, and if the applicant wants to come forward, you'll have 10 minutes. And you may hold back 2 minutes for a rebuttal, but given we have an empty room.
Awesome. I'll try not to take 8 minutes. My name is Alex Craw, and I'm with Building Bordeaux and also C&H Properties, the owner and future builder for this property. Just to give an overall background of these lots, we actually purchased 3 lots at the end of Fernbank Drive, the 3 that you see there. In 2023, 2 of them were smaller, approximately 1/4 of an acre with 60 feet of road frontage, and the 3rd was at the dead-end terminus with 1.69 acres. Last year, we built 2 smaller homes on the first 2 lots for resale, that were 900 to 1,200 square foot each, selling one of them to a couple that were first-time homeowners. When pulling permits for the 3rd lot, we were told it was subdivided illegally in 1965 or 66. It was 1 year after the rule went into effect, as it was created by deed. So we submitted a final plat and discovered we were required to dedicate half the lot as a conservation easement to greenways and parks for a potential future greenway or park, as well as allow access through our lot via a 15-foot private drive easement to that area. This area was next to the stream and unbuildable for that reason, and that area is more prone to flooding, so we never imagined building on it or near it, but we were kind of disappointed that we couldn't maintain that as a yard. It's just kind of a cut grass meadow right now, so we kind of envisioned our end buyer would have a very large garden or an area that animals or kids could play in. So after learning we would also not be able to mow or maintain that area, we then decided to request 2 building lots during the plat process so that we could build 1 single family home on each lot. And as a trade-off. So all departments approved of these 2 lots, except at the very end, planning, and I can't remember if it was you, Laszlo, or if it was a different staff member, pointed out that the second lot would not meet the lot frontage requirements, as it only has access through like a dead-end private drive easement. And then we were advised to seek a rezone in order to get that second unit, rather than having 2 lots on the plat. I also attended one of Councilwoman Benedict's neighborhood meetings last month, where she brought this up, and we didn't have any residents in opposition there. I have spoken to Councilwoman Benedict, and she's in favor of us building 2 smaller to medium homes as opposed to 1 larger home here on that lot. Completely understand the position of planning staff regarding the conservation overlay and flood zone concerns. There's no debate. Certainly in the 100-year flood zone, those 2 other houses that we built were in the flood zone and were elevated, one with a garage, one with a taller crawl space. However, we have a great opportunity to build 2 small to medium-sized attainable homes that would have essentially the same building envelope as building 1 larger home. And my company over the last 7 years has built, I think 13 or 14 homes in the 100-year flood zone. So we're very familiar with the process, the building requirements, with Logan Bowman at the Stormwater Department. And these units will absolutely need to be elevated. We think either 11 or 12 feet, which would provide a tall garage, which is something many people with trucks, campers, RVs are really looking for. Let's see. This project will also require no mature trees to be removed. As the photos show, this is a grassy area. I had submitted some photos. I'm not sure if we have them for the slide today, but just photos of the site, kind of looking at the houses that we built and just the open grass area. But we would position the houses as close to the last house, and literally it's just been an open grass field. So that's all I have. It's just an opportunity to have 2 smaller homes rather than 1 large home at the dead end of this street with real no impact to the rest of the street. That's all I got. All right.
Great, thank you.
I guess I'll just stay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have anyone speaking in support or opposition. So any further thoughts you would like to share?
No, just thanks.
Okay. With that, I will go ahead and declare the public hearing closed. And Commissioner Clifton, would you like to help us get started?
Well, the applicant's explanation certainly did indicate a lot of thought had gone into it, and that it was not their normal situation and what they'd hoped to do. And yes, we are interested in houses being built, but I'm a little bit. I don't think I'm at the point of being able to support this right now. I think there's just a little bit too much uncertain about it. I respect the council member. It may be something the council wants to vote for anyway, but I don't think as planners that, as a planning decider, not a planner, but I can't support it at this time. Thank you.
Okay, other questions, comments? Commissioner Dundon.
Yeah, I think I agree with staff's recommendation to disapprove, and primarily because of the conservation policy, that it's the entire lot looks like it's in a floodplain, and this is kind of one of those things I call invisible infrastructure that really does help sort of all of us when it works and it's invisible and nobody sees it and thinks about it when you drive past an open space or open lot. But those areas really do protect the water quality and nearby structures from flooding. And if there is a house, if it's developed in the way that it already can be, those areas will be even more helpful to the house structures that are put on it. So I'm inclined to adopt. I think the policy application here seems correct to me, and I'm inclined to vote in favor of staff's recommendation to disapprove.
Okay. Yeah, Commissioner Henley.
Yeah, I'm curious, just because I'm kind of what I'm interpreting here is there's the ability for 1 unit, so not just discerning whether or not the site itself is appropriate for housing. I think that's kind of already decided. I'm curious. I looked stuff for it. I mean, I'm not sure if there's like a clear limit of disturbance. I think we heard the applicant say that there's no intention for any of the, existing tree canopy to be disturbed. And my thinking is, are you going to potentially could disturb the same amount of area to build one house as you could for two? It sounds like what's being articulated is the goal is to shift as close to the existing homes as possible. So, I'd be interested just from my perspective of saying, obviously agreeing with, I think, staff and the fellow commissioners that we don't want to have as much of this area disturbed. Obviously, it's serving a purpose, but with the opportunity to go right to the edge and build one big house, it seems like the limit of disturbance is probably the factor I would consider the most in my evaluation. So I'm not sure if there's impact in terms of the RS or R10 considering the conservation policy.
So if I may offer some gentle pushback, I think that there may be work to be done about the amount of area that can be disturbed for one home on a lot that has these characteristics. I would just suggest from a land use sort of zoning perspective, our goal should be to try to minimize land use impacts and zoning impacts in areas that are vulnerable. And so, but I take your point. I think there's work to be done when you have large homes that disturb as much as two. I would say that could be a different process or a different discussion that we could have within the zoning code or with stormwater, right? Because I think the commissioner makes a good point.
The zoning districts are going to have, the existing zoning district and the proposed zoning districts are going to have similar allowances for lot coverage, which is how we sort of measure building area that's permitted for 1 and 2 family. And so whether it's 1 unit or 2, they're going to have similar allowances for lot coverage. Now, something that's sort of unique in this case is that when they came into plat, stormwater actually had concerns given the amount of floodplain. And there is greenway easement on the back of the lot, and that's always a certain distance from a waterway is what is included in the greenway easements per our subdivision regulations. But stormwater also had additional area of that platted lot be noted as conservation not to be disturbed, because they wanted to ensure, or they wanted to sort of be certain in regards to some of the stormwater features, like you said, that this lot already provides. And so there is a limit of what can be disturbed by the plat, but it's still like half of the lot, I'd say, maybe total. So there's a pretty big area left outside of that where stormwater said, we want you to add this note of not being disturbed.
I think the commission is evaluating this against the policy, rightly so. The council member wanted me to let the commission know if it is a factor in your thinking that she has reversed her view of the project and is no longer supportive. I'm happy to share that with you, council member, if that's helpful. And she acknowledges no one was at the community meeting, but she has heard opposition in the community now. So that's the extent of her thinking.
I'm also uncomfortable, but I would say a lot of my uncomfort comes from discomfort. It just seems an interesting way to go from 1 lot to 2. I guess it technically would just go from, it would count as a duplex lot or something along those lines. I think a lot of like the disturbance and stormwater features, I don't want to speak for planning or anything, I would be a lot more comfortable if this was an SP and we could see a lot more detail as to what was going to be there, what is the allowable disturbance. We could set specific conditions because it is a pretty, looks like complicated, sensitive piece of property. And, you know, if an SP could show that disturbance was similar of 2 lots to 1, I could probably work my way around to that. I feel like there's just a lot of uncertainty from going from RS10 to R10 in a piece of property that will clearly not see that density, that cannot, just due to the, so it seems like we'd just be approving something we're not, I don't know how to finish that statement. We're approving something that we don't really know what's going to go there, and or what could go there, which is a lot of what we're thinking about is what would be a good land use, and I feel like approving R10 with no one here having any intention of putting R10 density there is not something I really want to do. If that makes more sense, I'm gonna just.
I mean, the staff recommended disapproval, I think, in part because.
I think that's where I am too, but I would look at an SP. I hope planning would consider it with, conditions up the wazoo and et cetera. But we'll see.
To your point, one of the things that I think would be interesting, and we're proposing there's a conservation study that the department's going to undertake, because so much of the work we do, folks see as about density, and zoning is also about preservation. And so I'm interested as we go through the conservation work to see if we might fine tune the zoning code itself to think about what those footprints are, because your point's well taken, that impact is something we should consider in addition to the zoning allowance.
I also look forward to that.
Any further comments? If not, we'll need a motion at some point. Anyone interested in, yeah?
I move to adopt staff's recommendation and disapprove.
Okay, it's a proper motion. Do we have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. I think that brings us to the end of our formal agenda. I have to always look back at the order that we do our things in. All right. Commissioner Smith, anything you would like to share with us from the Historic Zoning Commission?
No major update. It looks like we're getting a new chair in the next 2 months. Our esteemed chair, Monet, after I think 24 years on the at least the Historic Commission, I think in 12 or 13 in the Historic Zoning Commission it's not going to be with us anymore. So that's yeah. So choose your nominations wisely. But that's our only real update.
All right. Commissioner Henley, anything from the world of parks?
Just again, as we enter the summer, encourage folks to, use our parks. That's what they're there for. And just highlighting one opportunity where folks will be utilizing Fort Negley. So the 25th annual 5K for the Memorial Day will be taking place at Fort Negley on Monday. So just like to highlight that. But all of our parks are special, and so just utilize them well. I've been doing so. I've been making it a personal endeavor to visit more parks more frequently, some that I haven't seen since I was a young person. It's been great, other than my allergies messing up and getting into it. But it's been fantastic. So, but no other reports other than that.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now we're on to the fun item of election of officers. I have to remember everybody that we have to. So we have to elect our new chair, or we have to re-elect a chair, vice chair, and then we have to make sure we have our representatives for the historic. So that's interesting. So the Historic Zoning Commission is different. Oh no, that's just the second word there. Those are representatives. Okay. And then we need our representatives for the Historic Zoning Commission, Parks, and another person for the Executive Committee. So I would love to take the honor as vice chair, and since the chair is not here, of renominating the chair, Chair Adkins, to serve another year as our chair of the Planning Commission. Do we?
told him if he showed up, he might get out of it, but since he's not here, you know.
So so I take a motion to approve. Do we have a motion to approve? Any, no one else wants to throw their hat in the ring, huh? No competition? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Then we have one more year with Chair Atkins. All right, so next item is the vice chair.
I would like to nominate that Commissioner Jessica Farr continues as vice chair.
Okay. I guess I have to take myself, all right. Yes, do we have a motion to approve, a motion? Okay.
We did that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we need to nominate someone, our representative to the Historic Zoning Commission.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Smith to continue his service on the Historic Zoning Commission.
Any discussion? Anyone want to throw their hat? All right. If not, we have a proper motion and second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, Commissioner Smith, you have some more time with the Historic Zoning Commission. Now we need to talk about our Parks Board representative.
If I may, I'd like to renominate Commissioner Henley for the Parks Board.
Okay, lucky Commissioner Henley. Do we have any discussion? If not, all in favor of Commissioner Henley continuing in this role? Any opposed? Motion carries. You get another year of parks. Last but not least, we need another representative to the Executive Committee.
I'd like to nominate Leah Dundon as the Executive Committee representative.
Okay. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner Dundon, for stepping up to this role. Our very last item is, we'll accept the director's report and other items from the director.
I just want to say, you're all volunteers, and we're so grateful to you for serving on the Planning Commission, and for those of you who serve on other boards, or my goodness, council as well. It's just a huge amount of time and commitment for our city, but we need volunteers in our city who love us and who spend the time and great care that you do and show in your deliberations for how we develop and grow. So I just don't want that to go unacknowledged. So thank you. Thank you so much. And if you'll look at item I, you'll see that I'm told we may have new equipment in the chambers later this summer, and so we're going to be meeting at the Metro School Board while the system is updated, and thank you if ITS is listening. Thank you to council who gave money, or however that all came together. We are very excited. So make note of that, and just go have a great rest of the evening.
We have one more from Council Lady Gamble.
Thank you, and I don't have any legislative update, but I do want to thank the planning staff for the Unified Housing Strategy workshops, the Housing and Infrastructure workshops. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to go as many as I would like. It's budget season. We've been having budget hearings, but I was able to go to the Madison workshop at the Madison Library on Tuesday. It was very well attended. Very well orchestrated and organized, and I just appreciate all the work that you all are doing and educating our community, so thank you.
Thank you very much, yes. Sure. It'll be an interesting summer ahead with that. Yes. Okay, I think that gets us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Okay. Happy Memorial Day weekend.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.